Hi, Jess.
Hi, Lauren.
How are you?
I'm good. Trying not to melt.
It's crazy hot in Chicago this weekend.
It's
heat wave.
Oven out there.
Which normally, like, I feel like when it's heat wave and you're younger, you're like, let's fucking go. Let's get on the boat. Let's party. And now when we have two babies, it's like horrifying. It's like scary.
We went to the farmer's market early this morning because we're like, it's too hot for her. She can't be out. So it was really quick, and then I was so paranoid of, like, sun on her skin. I was like, we got to go home. AC. Get her back in the AC.
Which, is it really AC, Jessica, or is there something else? That's a reference to Miami this week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're just snorting Coke with our newborn at home.
I think that was a Coke reference, right?
Yes, it had to be.
Right.
When they're like, that's some good AC. I'm sorry. No one talks about air conditioning like that.
Yeah, unless you're a loser.
Yeah.
But anyway, a little tidbit of our what's going to happen this week on this podcast. So we're starting with a new series, Real Housewives of Miami. Woo, woo. Okay, now let me say something. Yeah, it's back. Now let me say something. I really did not love Miami ever in my life. I could not bear the fact that we were going to hear from Julia again and like her adoption story. And then I watched the show, Jessica, and it is fire.
Yes.
So if you guys are listening and you're like, I don't really listen to Miami, like I'm going to have to skip through this, like just watch it. It's worth it.
It is so good. I'd never check my sources, but I've seen them saying Miami's ratings are low, and all the Bravo accounts are like, if you don't watch Miami and you make them be canceled, like I hate you all, because it is. Some of them are saying it might be their favorite franchise, and it's tiptoeing up towards mine. It is so good. I mean,
and it's so great. We'll get into it, and then we're also going to talk about the Valley. And also then hit Next Gen NYC, woo woo, which people are saying the next Real Housewives of New York. I'm like, we're not there yet.
No, not at all. They're 22.
Yeah. They're babies. Alrighty, so let's start with Real Housewives of Miami. So, okay, first thing I want to say just right off the bat is these women look fabulous, and they always do. I always use the Housewives as like a way to understand like what fashion is coming, and clearly the nude like crop top. Did you see this? They were all sporting it was like a crop top that looked like a shirt, but it had like a nude lining underneath. They all looked naked underneath.
Yes.
I was like, damn.
Was it Kiki's dress on the yacht? And then Lisa was also wearing it in something?
Alexia had it on. And I was like, okay, so this is it. But it also makes them look like naked.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Real
anyway, so we're back in the franchise. We're catching up with all the ladies. So let's just start off. Lisa's face has changed yet again. Did you notice that?
I was actually looking at her going, she is so when she was married to Lenny and he's a plastic surgeon, I was like, she's not a good example of you know what I mean? Heather Dubrow, amazing example of wife of a plastic surgeon.
Yes.
Looks great, understated.
Yes.
Lisa was like the guinea pig for all the treatments. I wouldn't go to him if I saw his wife looking like that. I'd go, I think you're not doing my type of plastic surgery.
So so for those that don't know, she used to be really cat face, really high cheekbones, everything. And now the filler is definitely dissolved, but her lips are still huge. Ginormous. Yeah. And so the face looks different and then the lips are still so big. It's just it needs to proportion out a little bit more.
And she's so petite and skinny that her face looks puffy and huge because it's literally full of fillers.
Right. I totally agree. So Lisa's storyline this season is that she's now living with Jody. Mm-hmm. Jody's a weirdo, Jessica.
Oh my God.
You love him?
No, I wrote down, I remembered him being a little more hottie suave. And I was like, he's such a nerd.
Yeah, I know.
I think maybe it was more last season was a big comparison between Lenny being this old, kind of pudgy, whatever. And then he was hot and younger. But now just seeing him on his own, I was like, oh, he's kind of meep, boop, boop, boop. He's giving Elon Musk
I know.
weirdo vibes.
His face looks like it was carved out of wood. And then he's got this huge veneers.
Carved out of wood.
It's so weird. And Lisa's living in his 6,000-foot condo, which is still huge for us average Joes, but compared to the house that Lenny had for her.
Yeah.
And she's still comparing between Jody and Lenny. If I were Jody, I'd be like, we're done.
Can we stop talking about him?
Talk about Lenny one more time and you're out.
Yeah.
Because I cannot. I'm providing a very nice lifestyle for you.
Yeah.
We're done. Anyway, also her kids, Lisa's kids, seem like they are the most misbehaved kids in the world now.
I know. It's horrible. But yeah, how does it not affect them when their parents are at each other's throats?
Yeah. So Gertie's back. Yeah. I've never loved Gertie. I think her mannerisms are way too over the top for me.
Yeah.
I do feel for her this season because she's really a work in progress from all of the cancer and all the treatment she went through. And I feel bad for her because we see her first on the yacht. And it's a swimsuit scene, and she's like immediately trying to call stuff out, like, "Oh, I gained 30 pounds," and like my boob isn't right. I feel like she's trying to call it out before we call it out. Yeah. And that makes me sad for her.
I know. It's like, girl, you have been going through it with your cancer.
Yeah, it's like we get it. You don't need to.
But that just shows you like how kind of conceited and vain in Miami they really are. Okay, that I should just blanket say all housewives. Yeah. It's not just Miami.
Probably us too.
Yeah, like, but I know I felt really bad for her. And like going to the plastic surgeon and trying to like fix different surgeries. Right. I was like, oh. You don't need this stress.
Like. I know. And her husband's like done with it. And she's like, just one more so I can fix it. Oh, God, that's a rough spot. And then we see Julia back. Julia's storyline is she's gotten 2 boys that are adopted.
It's her storyline, but yet they're not showing them. So it can't be too much of her storyline.
But she's clearly trying to make her storyline that Gertie didn't show up for the phone call. And Gertie's like, huh? What?
Yeah. No, I thought it was so shisty. Like, okay, think of it. If that's like your decent friend, and it seemed like Julia and Gertie were pretty close, your friend attempted to join, had some tech problem, dropped off. Let's also remember Gertie is one of the few that has a real job. Like, she has that huge event planning company. So she is actually busy. Like, if Lisa drops off and is like, I have a work call, it's like, what are you doing, Lisa? No, you don't. Right. So, okay, she tried, she dropped off. And then Julia was like annoyed and goes, you'll find out when, and then your friend tells you, you'll just find out when it hits the press. Right. It's like, no, maybe just tell her. Just tell her in the text. Like, why was she making it like I'm only going to announce it on this Zoom to my friends?
It was so weird. And then she gets really annoyed by Gertie's, like, because so Julia's cold to Gertie, and then Gertie's cold back. And then Julia makes that her entire storyline. And Gertie's, like, really confused by it. She's like, what's going on? What is this?
I feel like I'm iced out.
And I'm not sure what's happening. And how did Julia get to be such good friends with, like, the cool girls?
Alexia. Yeah. And she's really buddy-buddy with Alexia.
I really dislike Julia. I don't know what it is.
Something about her.
She just is like...
She's just blah to me.
She's like quirky. Too quirky in my mind.
What always shocks me, when they show the opening credits, there are only 5 full-time...
Jessica.
Miami is made up of the friend of. They have the strongest friend
Marisol is a friend
Marisol, Adriana,
and Kiki. 3. Those 3.
Is there anyone else I'm missing?
No.
Okay.
But they're like friend of. I mean, I think they must just say they can't bring on more because they can't have a 9-person cast.
Right. Yeah.
So they have to keep those women as friend of. But the reality is they're like main.
They are so
stars.
In there. Yeah. They get confessionals. Like.
Truly. And they work hard. Like, Marisol works hard. Anyway, speaking of Adriana, so she comes back and she's got a hottie boyfriend. That's like her storyline. I have a hot boyfriend.
But Adriana was actually giving me Kristen vibes. I think Adriana's intel is always right.
Oh, really? Oh, Kristen Doty vibes?
Yes. So Adriana was saying all that stuff about Todd.
Right.
And Alexia's relationship. And then Adriana's just sitting there like, does everyone believe me now? You know, I was like, oh my God, I'm getting Kristen like flashbacks.
Or like, there's one point. So Alexia's storyline is going through the divorce with Todd, which is so weird. I mean,
divorced but not divorced because
they're dating,
back
but
together.
They're now officially divorced.
Yeah, but they're still seeing each other.
Yeah. And Adriana, when Alexia announces it, I think she says it right when she kind of announces it, she goes like, I was right.
So I was right.
And I think she probably whispered it, but the producers cranked that mic up.
Cranked up her mic. But that's where, oh my God, what was I going to say? Oh, the dinner Alexia has with her friends and whatever, which was hilarious to me. Did you notice that she goes, I didn't invite Gertie and Adriana because this dinner is about Johnny. The whole dinner was Alexia crying about her divorce.
Oh, really? Yeah.
She's like, they only make it about themselves. Cue Alexia only crying and having a whole thing. But that's when she started going, your fake apartment and your fake rented cars. She was starting to spill some stuff about Todd and the whole lifestyle.
Adriana's totally right.
Yes.
Yeah. Adriana is so funny too, because it's like she's like so vindicated, but like people don't like her enough to like really acknowledge it on the show. So funny. All right, and then we have Marisol. Marisol's storyline seems to be that she's going to get married
legally. She's been married, and like they cut to like 2 different countries. She got married in Scotland, got married here, there, and everywhere. Now she's like, now we're doing it.
It's like, good job, Marisol. That's her storyline.
Yeah,
and so, but they're all, I mean, all solid. And then Larsa, excuse me, last one.
Oh man,
Larsa Pippen.
Larsa and Marcus
have broken up, which we knew.
We knew. We saw that in the headlines.
But we didn't know how messy Marcus is.
Yeah.
Which, again...
seems unwell.
I think this
Unhinged?
This is the problem with when you're in your almost 50. I think Larsa's in her late 40s, and you're dating a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
30-year-old men are messy still, Jessica.
I know, but he sounds extremely messy.
But it's like... I think it's like when 30-year-old men go through breakups with like that are kind of trashy, like they do weird stuff.
Yeah. He's lashing out for sure.
Yeah.
And like doing stuff in the media to get back at her.
Yeah. And she's like Miss like private, like, you know, she's been around the block on this stuff. She like, in my mind, she kind of knows how to handle it. And he's like, this is his first rodeo.
Yeah. I strongly dislike Larsa.
Okay, I do too, but in Larsa versus Lisa, I'm on Larsa's side.
I go back and forth. Just how much I don't like Larsa. Okay, let's get into their fight.
All right, so first let's go to Jody's birthday, because that's kind of the first major thing. After we've now gotten back, everybody's been introduced. Oh, the last thing I'll say, did you see on Julia's Zoom call that Lisa's picture was of her in her swimsuit?
No. That's her
like
Zoom
on a yacht.
photo. That's amazing.
Like everyone else is like a kind of professional, or they at least like are on the call themselves, and Lisa's is like
on brand.
Like with totally on brand.
Yeah. You know, the background on her phone is herself, not her kids. Not her kids.
Or it's one of those custom like photo shoots that she does at every party. Yeah. All right, so the first major thing that happens is Jody has a birthday party at his condo, and Lisa gets drunk.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And makes a fool of herself. I think she makes a fool of herself. And I think that we see the first cracks of Larsa and Lisa fighting now. And did you see when Larsa walks in and Lisa like goes up to her and like says like, welcome. And then she says, do you want a drink to Larsa? And Larsa's like, yeah, I would love one. And Lisa just points.
She goes, it's over there.
Points at the bar. I was like, oh my God, this is so cringy, Jessica. I like wanted to crawl underneath the table.
Okay, I mean, I saw that scene. I didn't pick up on, like, how hilarious that was. That she's, like, over there.
She's like...
But
like,
one thing I loved was Larsa, when they were just slightly getting into it. It hadn't gotten too heavy and deep just yet. And Larsa's like, are you drunk? And Lisa's like, yeah. I love that she didn't. Like, everyone else is like, no, I'm not. Like, everyone denies it. Lisa's like, yeah, I am.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. And so this is the party too where Jody, this has been all over social media, gets caught asking his friends if they want to go into his bedroom because the AC is good in there.
Yes.
And everyone thinks that the AC, meaning air conditioning, in this case stands for cocaine in his bedroom. Yeah. Oh, the AC's in my bedroom.
Right.
Oh, the AC's so good in here.
Yeah. And I don't know what door, it was so minor. They kind of zoomed in on the closed door that then they were showing subtitles. Did you notice it had a keypad lock to it?
Oh, really?
I was like, that's weird. In a indoor home like room, you have a key code to get into your room.
Isn't
that strange? Like a front door, sure, like an Airbnb, you have a code, you get in.
But if he's got those young kids running around, maybe he like puts his like stuff in there.
Because he's doing coke in the room.
Yeah, and that's where he stores his cocaine.
But both Lisa and him have come forward going, I can't believe we have to address this. No, we're actually talking about air conditioning. It was really hot in the party in the back of the condo. It like better. And I was like,
The only thing is I can feel for him on that because I know exactly what it means when like our condo, like this room never gets cold. But then if you walk to the bedroom, it's like freezing. So I was a little bit like...
So you have good AC in your bedroom,
Yes,
too.
I do. I was like, Jody, I can actually relate to this, but you are the biggest nerd that you are talking about actual air conditioning.
Yeah, I know. At his birthday party.
Okay, let's talk about that. So the fight is about what? Jody goes out. Jody and Lisa are out. And they run into Marcus.
Yeah.
And then basically Jody continues on to dinner
And
with
goes to
Marcus.
dinner. The defense is that Marcus is with a group of people that are allegedly Jody's best friends. So it's not like he's going on a one-on-one dinner hangout with Marcus. He's like, well, they're with all my friends. I'm going to go. And Lisa still follows Marcus on social media, which, I mean, we all know how they are on social media with blocking and all that. So to still follow the ex-boyfriend is like...
Okay,
so
but
against.
Jessica, I can tell by your tone that I know where you stand on this, and I'm on the opposite side. I am. Okay.
But, okay, go ahead, defend your stance.
I had something that happened in my life where I was briefly had a fling with this guy, and he was an irritant. That was the best way to describe him. It was not long-winded, but it was not long-run. But I had a couple of friends who hung out with him after we dissolved, and I was like, why why do that? Like, just like, and it was a great friend of mine, so it's like it was a little bit like, you know, just why, of all the people to hang out with, why? So that's why I'm actually on Larsa's side in this whole thing.
Okay, well, while you were saying that, because I know exactly who you're talking about, I just realized I'm still following him. So Lauren, right now, I'm gonna unfollow for you.
Like, and at the time, like, here's the thing: it's like, and Larsa was, I mean, that her relationship with Marcus was way more than mine. Mine was like, 2 months maybe, but it was just like a question of like, if you're such a good friend, like, just out of all the people, like, why do you have to go to that person?
But I guess where I'm a little bit more team Lisa did not go to dinner. Her boyfriend did.
Sure.
That's where, yes, if Lisa and him were schmoozing with him all night, I would have more of a problem, but I at least would be like, well, my girlfriend didn't go.
Sure, but then Larsa tries to say, and whether you believe this or not, she tries to say, Jody, he's not a real friend to you.
He doesn't even.
Because he was kind of talking shit about you when we were dating.
Yeah.
And Lisa's too dumb to get that that's what Larsa means, like, in that moment. She thinks that Larsa's just calling Jody cheap.
Right.
And in the reality, Larsa's trying to communicate, like, he never really favored you, so the fact that he favors you now should signal to you that he's trying to get back at me, not that he actually is, like, wants to be friends with you.
But also, it's just typical Larsa conceited. Like, this must be about me.
Sure. Yes. I've always hated Larsa, but for some reason, Larsa versus Lisa, I'm like...
Where do you stand on what Larsa said to Lisa about her dying father and being in Milan?
Okay.
Harsh,
but true.
It is okay. See, again, I'm able to defend Lisa a little bit. I agree. You or me, insane if we went to Milan. Lisa barely had rekindled. He was an estranged father. She has a different relationship.
But Jessica, then she can't use that as her excuse.
Okay.
So you got to pick one side, Lisa.
Okay.
You can't sit there and say, nobody can attack me because my dad is going through it and he's on death's doorstep. You can't do that. Either you're one or the other. Either you're happy to be rekindled with him, but you're watching his health, but you're not that close, so you're going to go off and keep living your life, or you are really, really torn up about it, and nobody should be really harsh to you because you're going through this massive issue, but then you shouldn't be in Italy.
Yeah.
And that's what I think Larsa was trying to say, like, you know, you have to be held accountable for your actions with my ex-boyfriend. And Lisa was trying to be like, my dad's going through it. And she's like, if your dad's really going through it, you need to be with him.
I see.
I know. I never thought I'd be on the side of Larsa Pippen. I never thought that, Jessica.
And normally, I also think Larsa is dumb as a box of rocks, but she had really good logic there.
Jessica, this is Alexis and Shannon. This is every good contrast. In my mind, like, literally, if you would have said to me last season, I would have been Larsa Pippen's side on anything, I would have been like, absolutely not. Yeah. And for some reason, I am, like, loving Larsa right now.
Okay. I don't like her, but let's see what happens. I thought she was being so ridiculous with taking the selfie when Lisa was walking.
Yeah, that
like,
was
come on.
That was like too much.
Come on. Yeah.
All right, so and then they kind of actually still hang out after the fashion show.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Alexia and Todd. So what is your what do you think is going on there? Like what is the theory here? Because I have one.
Okay, I'm curious what yours is. I haven't thought about a theory. My only first thought when Alexia gave her whole story about they were out the night before, they had great sex, he was telling her how much he loved her, and meanwhile, he was packing up and moving out the next day. The only thing I thought there was he knows that she is like an explosive Latina woman. That I think that was his way of like, I'm going to let her think all is well, and I'm doing this behind her back, or it's going to get really messy.
It's the Brittany Jax Taylor of it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want her to know that he's serving her
coming.
papers.
That was my only thought about that. I don't know the deeper, like, why he filed. They then rekindled. He put off but now they still legally filed, but they're still hooking up. I think
understand. There's something there with that. Alexia I don't think that Todd wants to support her financially. Like, that's my bottom line with it. Because I think she requires a very, very high-level lifestyle.
Yes.
And she requires it for the show, and then she requires it for Frankie, which I'm sorry, no, Frank, no, nothing against Frankie, but, like, she will be providing for him until he is really late into his adult years. Yeah. And I feel like Todd looks at all that and he goes, like, I don't want to do this. Like, to the level that you show other people that I do, you know?
Like, that old saying, he's like, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? So he's like, let me just get rid of the financial obligation, but I'm still going to be with you. Yeah. And like,
or he just thinks the sex is really good and I don't want to like stop basically banging her, but everything else I'm done with.
Everything else.
Because did you catch how she's like, I tried to save my marriage for the last 5 months? Yeah. So he must have been like, you're the problem. Yeah.
No, it's wild. But okay, that's a very good theory. I had to assume it was financial related, because then when she was kind of spilling some secrets at that dinner and things were coming out that she had always denied, I was like, maybe there is a little trouble in the bank account area.
100% if everything was rented. And then they were on Watch What Happens Live. Did you see Alexia has like a brand new face on Watch What Happens Live? I think she looks good actually.
She did.
It's just like, it's massively filled.
It's so smooth.
Yeah. Everything is filled up. Yeah. And Andy does this really weird segment now called the Truth Bomb.
Yes.
Oh my God, for those who haven't seen it, it's really cringy. He has this huge paper mache bomb. And he talks in this really, it talks in this like,
oh my God, the truth bomb.
And then he doesn't actually throw it at anybody, which is big enough that you should throw it like a beach ball, but he never like tosses it.
Alexa even goes, "Oh, I thought you were throwing it at me."
And then he asks like really invasive questions during the truth bomb segment. Yeah. Which is just like so cringy.
And he was asking her, of course, about Todd, and that's where she said, "We are legally divorced. We're still seeing each other." And he's like, "When were you last intimate?" And she was like, "A day ago."
Days ago. Yeah.
One small thing that I just love when like producers show it, and any franchise, when it kind of takes the housewives like down a peg, was them having to share the van at the Milan airport.
Yeah.
Loved that. When it was like Larsa and Lisa just think they are such celebrities. Celebs. And they come out and it was like, the designer only got one van because we're on the same flight and we're probably going to the same hotel. It's like, yep, get in, ladies.
Which also, like, Jody, like, he was kind of caught in the crosshairs there, but he needs to understand, like, as a man, you don't participate in the fight.
I was thinking he was a little involved in that.
Like, he's getting too close to the fire, especially the Larsa fire. Yeah. Like, I would not touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Larsa goes low.
Yes.
That's where, that's why I don't usually like her. She goes so low.
Larsa also, like, she's, like, wants to be a Kardashian. She's still got that massive BBL, which I think is, like, a little out of style
now. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Everyone's gonna have to get those dissolved.
This proves why you should watch Miami. When you watch Bravo show, there are two things that people get off on. One is when cameras go up after the show is wrapped. Yeah. So cameras went up before the show even started. Yeah. Because they were caught catching Alexia's divorce. Yeah. And then the to be continued like subtitles because It's
stuff
so dark and
happened.
crazy that stuff happened.
Yes.
And both those things have already happened on this franchise.
Episode 1, episode 2. Yeah.
So we're in for a treat.
Yes.
In for a treat. The other thing I'll just say is TV is better when there's single women.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to say it, but
Yeah.
think of how many breakups there are. Alexi's
That's
going
true.
through it. Larsa's going through it. Lisa's new into a relationship.
Right.
I mean, it's just
Kiki's always kind of single. and
Adriana's
oh my
like
God,
fresh.
yeah.
It's just better drama when you don't have a
Yeah.
bunch of married people, because everyone's trying to dissect like whose marriage is falling apart and who's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
and nobody wants to reveal that. But drama with men, like when you're dating them,
Yeah.
everyone's like willing to like toss it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Love it.
Love it. Now we're gonna move to the Valley. Woo woo. Okay, so let's talk about this like weird rumor that's been going around on Reddit. Did you read that thing I sent you about the executive producer Jeremiah?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So there's this like thing that's been going around on Reddit, and it's that this producer named Jeremiah is he comes and goes on Bravo shows. He's part of the production teams, but the notorious thing that always happens is every time he gets on a show, the show gets really dark.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he was on Southern Charm, and that happened there. He was on one other one, I think Vanderpump, and it
Yes,
happened there.
Vanderpump.
It was their lowest ratings ever. And now he's on apparently The Valley,
Yeah.
which is why it feels maybe dark and heavy this season.
Yeah. And also a bit of like, he always is giving like toxic men the
Benefit of the
light,
doubt.
the benefit of the doubt, and that the women are made to look.
Like bad.
Yeah.
And that's what he did on Southern Charm. And he was apparently fired off of Southern Charm. But it's like
Yeah.
the town's so small that like, you want somebody who has got the right credibility or the right experience, so he gets picked up and runs more.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see. But that's the theory going around right now on like
Yeah.
Reddit.
I know. I keep seeing comments about the Valley being like so dark.
But it's like it's dark because of Jax.
Exactly.
It's not like if we didn't have Jax Taylor, like if Jesse and Michelle were the darkest part of
right.
it.
That's
I don't-
just real life
like,
divorce.
divorce,
when you
right.
kind of hate each other.
Right.
Did you see any of the Watch What Happens Live with Jax and Tom Schwartz?
No, I watched parts of it, but
It
not.
was so awkward. Like, of course, Jax Taylor, it's like nobody's clapping, like when he's introduced. Andy did a few polls. I mean, the biggest landslides ever
Yeah, I saw
against Jax.
that.
And Andy just is like firing through it. Literally, they cut to Jax a few times. I thought he might cry. Like
He's
during the polls. Like it was so
It was like,
bad.
what side are you on? 100% Brittany,
Yes,
0%
yes.
Jax.
Literally.
Well, they're polling the audience that's like sitting right there.
No, it's anyone at home can be
okay,
doing
got
it.
it.
Yeah.
And then they did one other thing. It was like,
Like, do you believe Jax has changed?
change, and it was like, no,
absolutely not.
It was
Yeah, there was all that. And then there were quite a few times. I think Andy is also kind of finally listening that he tends to like give some of the toxic men the benefit of the doubt. And I think he's like learning to be a little more stern. There were at least 3 times that he asked Jax something and Jax would respond and Andy would go, no, I think you need to be apologetic to Brittany. Like, he would be correcting Jax's
Oh,
answer because Jax would be
interesting.
like, yeah, like, we shouldn't have been together. I'm so remorseful for how long we stayed together. And Andy's like, are you remorseful for how you treated Brittany? Like,
he was like pushing it.
yes, yeah. And it was just so cringe because then everything, Jax clearly, his publicist was like, you have got to go on with your tail between your legs. And he tried his best, but he is a narcissist.
Yes.
And so there were still his usual signs coming out that he couldn't fully admit he was in the wrong. And it
Yeah.
was just so painful.
And that's the big question right now, right? Is like, and I'm seeing this all over social media, but it's like, at what point do we have to just like not show Jax anymore? Because it's
and
like,
you saw the fight he had when he goes, this is my show,
and that's
my
the truth
show.
of it, Jessica. I wrote that down in big letters because it's like, and that is the freaking truth. Is that he thinks the cast should be kissing his ring because he brought them all there.
Yeah.
And he did that to Lisa Vanderpump, remember, where he
Yeah.
said, this is my show.
Yeah.
And Lisa was like, oh, it's your show. And he was off the next season.
Yeah,
And it's like, Jax, do you not learn? Like,
I know.
if the one thing in your life that's giving you money is the show, and that's what's keeping you relevant in everyone's mind, and you still think that you're invincible, it's like, didn't you learn your lesson on
Yeah.
Vanderpump Rules?
Yeah.
I mean, he's just so crazy and okay, so what do you think about like this idea that Brittany was taking like too many wins when she has the she changes Jax's to Brit's, She bags up his shit
Yeah.
in garbage bags and throws it in the garage.
She's obviously reached a breaking point. I think it just shows how much the rest of the cast dislike Jax.
Yeah.
That they did that whole Brits bar takeover. But I was going, this is a little much for someone who is in a mental health facility.
I was like, you know, when Zach like kind of reaches out the door and yells, "Everyone can unclench their buttholes."
Yes,
Jax is gone.
which made me crack up.
Jessica, I like unclenched my butthole. Like, I am so nervous. I find myself like getting nervous
Like
watching
he's a ticking
Jax.
time bomb.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if he's a ticking time bomb, why are you like poking the bear so much? That's
know.
what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's like he's kind of a toxic man who's like kind of an abuser, and like you're sitting there and like I think the taking over Jax to Brits was a little bit for the show.
Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
the garbage bags like were too
real.
much.
Yeah.
And-
Well, but like real of them being like, F you.
Yes.
Out you go. I like, okay, you just brought up something. I think they are all purposely poking the bear because they want him to explode on camera.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think they're trying to.
But you can see, and this is just like what's a little bit annoying with Bravo. You can see that he's moved next to Schwartz. I've heard that Tom Sandoval and Schwartz are getting interviewed for the Valley and like potentially becoming full time.
Sandoval?
Yes.
No, I'm really done with him.
I know. But I mean, Jax literally lives next door to Tom Sandoval.
Oh, yeah. To Schwartz.
Schwartz, excuse me.
Yeah.
And Tom Schwartz, by the way, makes Jax a better person. Like,
Yes,
when those
he
divorce
does.
papers showed up, if
Him
Tom
and
Schwartz,
Jason, when
Oh
they
my
were
God.
like, no, you need to just agree to that. Yeah. You need to
and
do
by
that.
the way, Tom Schwartz seems to be the only one that when he speaks, Jax actually like,
Yeah,
it like
I think so.
sits in.
Yeah.
But thank God he was there for those divorce papers.
Yes. I was thinking about those guys, like, thank God they are taking him down to reality and not letting him do, like, his knee-jerk reactions.
Yes.
Because it would be so much worse
Yes.
with Brittany. It's bad already, but they at least take it, like, down from a boil to a simmer.
Right. All right, so let's talk about just a couple more things with Jax and Brittany. So the coming out of rehab when Jax announces like, well, I'm still gonna drink at his like dinner. That's like such a Bravo.
I wrote down, how many times is he going to say, well, the alcohol isn't the problem. The alcohol, that's not the problem. It's the anger. It's not the alcohol. So, like, no one look at me. I was just thinking of how ridiculous it was, again, the Danny drinking storyline. That Jax is then drinking and no one bats an eye. Jesse was hammered in Santa Barbara.
I know.
If I were Danny, I would be like, was Jesse in Santa Barbara not a problem, but me at the Jax bar takeover having maybe 5 drinks was too much for everybody.
I also think too, it's like it's so Bravo and Housewives to be like, I just got out of rehab, but I'm like Shannon. She gets out of rehab, but she's so
But
nice.
I'm just drinking.
Luann,
Yes, just
Jax.
I can have 2. I mean, James Kennedy did it.
James Kennedy.
California sober.
It's Bravo, true and true to be like, I just went to rehab, but I'm gonna still drink.
You know, okay, the whole rehab part, yeah. But I also am like, I can't blame them because all these shows, can you imagine how hard it would be to be sober at all these events?
My God, yeah. Well, I think he did. Okay, this is the only nice thing I'll say. He did an okay job at Jesse's house.
The party.
Yeah,
Okay.
with Zach.
Yeah.
Going in so aggressively, and you can tell he's drinking that solo cup as though it's got alcohol in it,
Yeah.
but it's got water in it. He's like white knuckling it.
Really, side note, I love when they pick up on those funny things, how no one knows what door
Yeah.
handle. Did you catch Danny walking up going, oh, I've never been here?
Yes,
How
Jessica, I was going to
freaking
talk to you
good
about
of
that.
friends are they then?
I think they pulled Michelle, and I was going to talk to you about this. So
Yeah.
let's switch to Michelle and Jessica's got a lot to say about this girl, Michelle.
This
They
girl.
pulled Michelle in, if you remember. She was very fringe
Okay.
when they pulled her in, because remember that whole storyline about her being a Republican?
Oh, yeah.
And that was like what's kicked off drama last season.
Yeah.
But it was really only, I think, Kristen that knew Michelle because Janet didn't want to film with Michelle because Michelle was supposed to be a Republican.
I love how that's...
Yeah, right.
She's a Republican.
That was the whole thing. And so I thought in my head, I'm like, why has nobody been to their house?
Yeah.
But then I was like, I do think she was the, like, very one that nobody really knew that much before last season. Then she got divorced.
Oh.
So then it's like, why would they be coming over there to like sit in her divorced home.
Yeah. Okay.
Or she was separated probably and then divorced.
Yeah,
You know,
and
it was
she
like,
moved out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I'll give it, but I did notice that too.
But I thought Danny and Jesse were more bros.
Yeah.
That's what kind of
I don't know.
shocked me. Just that. Okay.
No.
But an interesting, like, how easy to take that comment out.
Yeah, I know.
Such a throwaway thing of them walking up to the
know.
house, but the producers kept it in. So
I know. Well, I think they wanted the montage of everyone struggling with the door, including Jax, which was actually quite funny when he couldn't like figure out the door.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then they talk about it like massively, the door. All right. So let's talk about Jesse and Michelle. So first of all, Michelle's mom, how sad. How.
Which she has
just gut wrenching.
passed since.
She
this
has?
Filmed. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because I saw a thing pop up of Michelle saying it's really hard to like watch this. I miss my mom every day.
Oh my God.
So
I
she
can't
has
even.
since died since like last summer.
So obviously we feel for her on that. But let's move to Jesse and Michelle of it all. So first of all, Michelle kind of is still belaboring this fact that nobody's treating her the same way that they've treated Brittany.
Right.
Like she's mad that she doesn't have a bar takeover with everybody like
No one's helping her pack up stuff to
Right.
move. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? Because I think it's like the question is, does she need the support because she's already moved on with Aaron
Yeah.
versus Brittany's just at the very beginning of all this?
I feel like we did talk about it, and everyone thinks Jackson Brittany is a worse situation than, like, the polls show it. You and I think the Jax part is scarier. Don't get me wrong, Jesse, nightmare, but not as scary. You both have one child. You are both dealing with custody. You know, it isn't a matter of like, God, I have a kid and no one's Brittany has that too. But like you just said, I think Michelle isn't as good of friends. Zach and Brittany are besties.
Yeah, right.
He wanted to throw that bar thing for her. Kristen is like ride or die for Brittany. You know what I mean?
Right.
They just don't have that bond with you.
Right.
I agree. I'd be butthurt too if I was Michelle, but then you have to be realistic and go, well, they're not actually like my best friends.
I just also think Michelle, I mean, we've talked about this too, but at the end of the day is like, she doesn't warm your heart. Like when she
No.
walks up to the fast food and she's like, Brittany's taste is just different than mine. It's like, baby girl, you don't like Domino's pizza. You don't like Taco Bell. Like, again, it's just
not my kind of girl.
not anyone's type of girl.
But
and she
also-
says things like, I'm an amazing friend. It's like anyone who says they're an amazing friend,
Yeah.
that's like Lisa Barlow.
Well, also, you know how Michelle was always like, last season, like you saw me at my lowest with like my marriage was falling apart. I was miserable. Like that's just not me. Okay, Michelle, well, we also then just cut to a scene of you and your boyfriend having a lovely convo, throwing a ball with his dog. I wasn't getting a lot of emotion out of you then either. So if you're allegedly this happy-go-lucky woman now, I guess, again, sorry, the thing with her mother is heavy on her.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, you aren't proving to me that we
No.
weren't seeing the real you.
And-
like, I
ooh.
think you're just a little bit of a Debbie Downer.
And that, I think too, it's like, picture Jessica if the tables would turn and Jesse was talking to his girl about moving into the girl's house and introducing, and I think the world would be like, how dare
And an
you?
engagement.
This is so fast.
Yeah.
And she's not even divorced yet, and she's doing that.
Well, we all think the relationship started a little bit before the separation.
I mean, if that don't prove it, I don't know what does. Otherwise, this is way too fast.
Oh, yeah. So fun fact, I looked up his honey company. I was curious if it was like in stores anywhere around here. Not that I could find. You can order it online. One little like squeeze size bottle. How much do you think?
25.
Exactly, Lauren. 25.
I did a quick calculation of like LA, it's probably homegrown, it's probably organic, he probably has the bee farm.
And I know like real honey is a bit more expensive. Like we were just at a farmer's market. Vince has bought it from there before. It's a little pricey, but I bet that bottle is smaller than it looks on the website too. Like you get it and you're like, oh, it's like 4 fluid ounces.
Like I get 2 squirts.
Thought about ordering it and then went, not for $25.
Well, also, can we talk about Aaron's house real quick? Like, everything seemed micro in his home.
Yeah.
Did you catch
the
that?
little garden, the astroturf in the front.
The
And
smallest
she's like,
island.
Isabella wants a yard. I was like, that's the yard, okay.
Jessica, I'm so happy you've said that. I think it's because Jessica and I are from the Midwest, and we're like, just like, everything is big. Like, the stakes are big, the women are big.
Yeah.
Like,
big.
Yeah, it's just like the cars are big, and so to go
the
to
wine pours are big.
They're half the wine glass, right?
Yeah.
So if you go to Aaron's house and it's just everything felt teeny tiny.
That's luxury in LA.
Right.
That's
That's the
space,
worst part.
you know?
But even the islands felt so small.
We'll say both of us who don't have yards here, but whatever. Only thing to go back to the Danny drinking, as I was actually just defending him, but there is something to it that's not okay, that he is hiding it from Nia.
Yes.
He didn't take the shot because it looked like she was looking.
Yes.
He then drank it all. She came over and he goes, do you want this that I only took a sip of?
Yeah,
I was I rewound it. I'm like, no, Danny, you two took that whole shot.
Yeah,
that's
somebody
like a
else's.
second one.
Yeah, that was somebody else's.
So there is something to him trying to downplay.
Yeah.
I still don't think he has a problem, but
Right.
he is being a little shady with that.
I totally agree. I think Jason's comment was the right one where he said, you just don't know how to regulate. I have been there in my life. Now, granted, it was my 20s in college, but I think we all have when you can't regulate. Meaning like you just get blackout or drunk or whatever too fast.
Yeah.
And I think like Schwartz had that problem, right, where he started taking half shots versus the full shot, but he wanted to be part of the like camaraderie of it. And let's just be real, Danny is a petite guy.
Yeah.
He's like Kyle Cook stature.
Yeah, he is short.
And he's probably pretty thin because he works out.
I was going to say, I think he's kind of ripped. He probably eats quite healthy. So he might have had some salad and something.
A grilled chicken for lunch.
Yeah.
Which I wish I could eat like that. But I just think somebody needs to sit down with him and be like, dude, you just need to like, it's not that you don't need to drink. It's not that you don't need to like, do what you're doing, but you just need to like not drink as much.
As everybody around you.
Like you're not a 4-drink guy. You're a 2.5 drink guy.
Right, yeah.
So like pace it a little better, you know?
Yeah.
And don't mix.
Maybe that's
I think the mixing is always problematic.
Always goes down.
And he's doing a shot, he's doing a mixed drink, he's doing a beer.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my take. Now watch, he'll come out as like an alcoholic. He'll be like, whoops, we were enabling
He'll finally admit I was having so many drinks and nobody saw. Yeah. Another, other things that Jax is insane and does not ever think outside of himself. When he made that comment, that wedding was pretty expensive. It was like, Brittany agreed to cover your $1 million tax liability before you were married. And so shut the F up about your expensive wedding.
Also, where's that wedding ring? Also, Brittany, I know where my wedding ring is constantly. You could say to me, Lauren, I'm going to put it over here, and it would be burned in my memory of where the wedding ring. Yeah. The fact that she just is I don't know where it is. Yeah. That's really weird to me.
Because they got separated. She took it off.
Yeah, but wouldn't you know where it is?
I suppose, but Brittany does not strike me as the most on top of administrative tasks.
Sure, yes. Okay, so the last thing I just want to say to you.
But no, funny, I was going to say, I know where my wedding ring is, not on my finger, because it doesn't fit me still post-pregnancy.
It's still a little fat. It was hard to get mine on today.
Oh my God, I bet everyone's really swollen with this humid weather. Yeah.
The last thing I'll say is, so Jax gets out of rehab, and there's this whole debate of whether or not he tried to see Cruz, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which, for some odd reason, I was watching, the flashbacks, and they caught Jax doing Botox, and then caught him doing the haircut. And I thought in my head, I'm like, why would they be following him around doing all these mundane tasks? And then it hit me, Jessica, they were trying to catch when he was going to get served.
Oh.
So I feel like the production team was like, we're not going to miss that fucking moment that he gets served. So they were following him to all these things that they were had no intention of showing because they wanted to make sure they caught it.
Wait, we didn't even talk about how dumb he is. He got the paperwork, doesn't even really read it, hands it to Tom Schwartz, and he's just like, should I sign it?
He's like, why did that guy leave? He didn't want to, he clearly
he didn't know what being served was.
Do you think, he thought he got served because of his podcast. Do you think that was real? People were saying that he was trying to put up a front for TV.
Okay. That he had no idea that this was a divorce.
They were saying that he absolutely knew this was coming. Some people are saying he absolutely knew this was coming and was therefore playing it up. And then some say he had no idea, but he tries to brush it off to the guy who served him as like his podcast, because that way, like if the guy were to go away and like tattle that Jax just got divorced.
Oh, no. Jax is not that smart. Like,
no, I don't think so.
He is not that savvy with the PR. I did think it was pretty shitty, though, that Brittany clearly had like a live alert of him being served, and then she went, TMZ, go with the story.
Yeah,
like that. Did it need to really come out? Tom is literally like, it's already out. And he's like holding the paperwork.
I know.
That's another thing. It's like, whoa, give it a day.
Yeah, but to your point, like she's hit her breaking point. So I feel like she just feels totally
She wants to control the narrative. So she went to them and was like, I've got a juicy scoop for you, but you're going to listen to everything I explain of how it's going down.
Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, I feel for her. I get it. Especially, I mean, we've seen this time and time again. If you're on Bravo and you're hiding shit on behalf of your relationship, you just get tired. Paige and Craig, she just got tired.
Yeah.
Which,
like,
by the way,
did
you see that her dad was quoted as saying, like, I finally have my daughter back?
Yeah.
So switching quickly to Paige.
Because we can't go a podcast without talking about
her. Her dad basically was like so pleased that they've broken up.
Yes.
And everyone's like suspect of what actually Craig was like kind of doing in the relationship at that point.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
This is a little bit of a reminder to the younger people out there. Like, there are so many times where when you break up, people will then finally tell you how they really felt. Yeah. It's just a good reminder to not shoot the messenger. If someone is almost like brave enough to come to you in the moment when you are still in it and is trying to kind of say, I don't think this is right, try not to like ice that person out of your life. There usually is like a reason, because how many people go, I had no idea everyone like hated him or her.
But Jessica, you have always coached me the opposite.
No, I know, but I'm speaking to, if you are in the maybe bad relationship, don't
shoot the messenger.
Shoot the messenger.
But Jessica,
I'm never going to be the messenger. Like I told you, because you do get shot.
Yes, Jessica's always said, like, you can't be rude about other people's significant others, because what happens if that significant other stays in their life? Which
suddenly you're in the wedding.
No, you're out of the wedding. If you're
no, I'm saying suddenly you're standing up at their wedding and you thought there's no way they're gonna still be together.
Well, you're basically ruining your chance of attending the wedding if you do that, to be honest.
I know, and it sucks because sometimes someone is really just looking out for your best interest.
Right. Okay, last show before we hit our final segment is Next Gen NYC. Woo woo.
Yes.
All right, so a couple of themes, because we don't have necessarily enough here to go part by part. First off, let's talk about this Charly character.
Okay, yep, glad you brought him up.
So Charly is like making waves. Jessica, I fucking love him, and here's the reason why.
Yep.
He is 1990s villain. Like from Cruel Intentions, from like that movie era where he's like the rich kid. I'm so happy we finally have like this type of villain back on screen. He's old school villain.
I think, granted, it doesn't go that far back. I believe I saw someone saying he is Chuck Bass.
Yes. He is. He's
the
our
rich
generation.
Kid in Gossip Girl.
Yes. He's our generation's villain.
Yeah.
And people are like hating him because this generation, this Gen Z is like, they've never tasted who this type of person is. And I'm like loving that he's back on screen. So he has a couple of like very kind of, first of all, he's carrying the show. Let's just say it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Housewives kids are not carrying the show.
No.
And I think it's because they grew up in the spotlight. So they all are aware of like the third eye, which is the camera.
Right.
They don't like.
Yeah, he did quite a few things that I was like, he isn't thinking about how that's going to play out on social media for him.
So he first of all has a lot of family trauma.
Yeah.
Which is shocking. Like the
mom when he was having that like lunch or whatever with his mom and the mom's boyfriend, I was like, you couldn't write his character any better as being like the rich boy from New York.
Yes. Private school.
Yes.
First of all, okay.
Dated Lindsay Lohan.
Let's talk about that. She was 8 years older than him, Jessica.
Wait, what?
Yes. Jessica. They dated when that kid was in high school. Lindsay Lohan was 8 years older than him and already famous. That's been confirmed by numerous things.
Ew.
So he would have 17 and she would have been, do the quick math, 25?
Yikes.
Maybe 18 on a good day. Let's say he was legal. She would have been 26.
Let's give her the benefit of the doubt.
If that was a man and a woman, everyone would be like taking that dude to task. Like that, she was too young.
Yeah.
And that's his like claim to fame, and everyone, people have confirmed it. Like, yeah, they dated.
Yeah.
Second, the family trauma. So his mom gave up custody of them.
Yeah.
Shocking when the mom gives up custody.
Yes. And the dad is very aloof.
Yes.
So it went to...
That's a nice way of saying what he is.
He went to a father who kind of probably didn't really want him either.
No.
Which is horrible, but like...
The other thing is he's filed for bankruptcy, Jessica.
Who has?
Charly.
What? From his crypto trading?
Chapter 11. He filed in 2013. Yes, I dug into this for you. Okay.
What?
So he basically filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, 2023, not 2013. So it would have been what? He's 30 now. He would have been 28, 29.
Yeah.
He had 0 assets to his name.
Okay.
He had a $30,000 bill from Chase. He had
his credit card.
He had $4,000 bill from Amex, and I'm sure he was trying to get that credit removed because he had no income coming in.
Okay.
He said he had $1,000 a month max coming in.
That was his allowance.
That he pulled together. Yes, that he pulled together from families and friends. He had no job. Apparently, this became very clear to everyone when his roommate said, "I've never seen Charly work a job."
Yeah.
This is what I think happened. I think basically he took enough of Daddy's money, and that Antoine. I think his name's...
the dad.
Antoine, was like, I'm not giving you
a cent. Anwar.
Anwar, thank you. Not giving you a cent more. Figure out how to pay off that credit card on your own.
He cut him off.
He cut him off for a moment, right,
Yeah.
in time. And I think he's like, you better go file for bankruptcy. You could see that dad, who's like super financially like forward.
Was like, I'm not paying that off.
Figure it out. Figure out how to pay that off. And in order to pay off a $30,000 credit card and not go into collections and not have it be like, you know... Also, I think it's a sign of the times with Gen Z that, like, literally at age, whatever, 28, you're, like, filing for bankruptcy. Because, by the way, one of them's going to get evicted. Ava. Did you hear this?
No. What? So much good stuff.
Okay, so there's another character on the show.
Ava Dash.
Ava Dash, and her dad is Damon Dash, which we talked about last time.
Yeah.
Now, Damon Dash is apparently broke. Broke is a joke.
Ooh.
Which we kind of see on TV, right? So this is the story of Damon Dash. He started Rockefeller Records.
Yeah.
Their main artist was Jay-Z. They were killing it when Jay-Z was like their top marquee.
Jay-Z has splintered off.
He started something called Def Jam Records. They bought Rockefeller. And then it was revealed after the purchase that Jay-Z was going to be president of Def Jams.
Okay.
So think about that. Like your marquee artist basically splinters off and then buys you.
Yeah.
And I think Damon got very little in the purchase.
Pushed to the side. Yeah.
And then there's this huge feud between Damon and Jay-Z throughout the rap community for like years and years and years about it. I think they've since resolved. But
thank God.
I know. I don't think Damon Dash walked away with much from that.
Okay.
And I think then he had all these legal bills because he tried to sell an NFT, of Jay-Z that Jay-Z like sued him for.
Oh my good Lord.
So he has got no money. So that conversation of like Ava telling her dad, like, do we have health insurance? I don't have health insurance, and I need to get my IUD out, which probably costs a cool couple thou if you're not on health insurance.
Awkward convo with your father.
We read that as an audience of like, oh, he's walking away from the convo because he doesn't want to talk to her about her IUD. But I think he was actually walking away from the convo because he doesn't have money to pay for it.
He actually can't put her on his health insurance because he doesn't have it.
Right, or he's on the like free market health insurance.
And I'm always a bit, yes, you could say like, fine, Mark Cuban, like serial entrepreneur. Always a little sus of those people that are just dabbling. And it's like, I think you're trying to find your get rich quick and none of them are working. And then he just moves on when she's like, my dad's just like this serial entrepreneur.
And he's like, I've got so many businesses. Now, he would openly say, I think he said this in interviews, I'm broke and proud of it because I'm starting companies. But needless to say, no one's got money to pay for his little daughter's rent, which is $10,000 a month. Oh. And so he gets evicted.
She's a model. Sounds like she should be able to afford that.
Yeah.
She's modeling.
But probably not. It's probably not consistent.
Yeah.
It's like a job here, a job there. So you get what, $7,000 for a job?
Yeah.
And then that pays that's 1 month. That's not 12 months.
You're hustling.
Anyway, so that's all the drama.
Ooh, I did not know that behind the scenes stuff. Love it. Can't wait for season 2 when we hear about all that.
Okay. And then the other thing I just want to talk to you about Next Gen is the moms and dads of it.
Oh my God, Seth Marks.
Jessica. Okay, for those that didn't watch or maybe watch quickly, like the cringiest moment.
That was the cringiest thing.
So Brooks' storyline is that this Charly is disrespecting his sister, which is now at this point played out. Like,
oh my God, I can't hear another thing of this.
Like, you disrespected Chloe. First of all, poor Chloe, by the way, like, she comes back. She's like clearly filming, like, dabbling in it. And like, the fact is like, everybody's now talking about the fact that Charly like disrespected her, and she probably just wanted to like go on a second date with that dude.
Go on a date, see what happens.
Anyway, so there's disrespecting going on, and it's Brooks' entire storyline. So Seth Marks takes it upon himself to go meet in a lunch with Charly.
Because he goes, I don't think Charly has a good father figure.
Which is true.
Exactly.
He doesn't.
But then did you realize Seth left almost like, boys will be boys. Like, it left not really teaching him to respect women. Seth was like, I would have said that too at your age. And then they like laughed about it.
Oh my God. And Charly's like, things I would rather do than go. By the way, he went to that lunch hung over, Jessica. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, okay, this is honestly the last thing I want to say about the show, but the show is good, so that's why I keep bringing it more and more. Is the fact that Shy has the ability where he made those pants into curtains.
Yeah. No other way around. You made curtains into pants.
Okay. So this kid is like clearly a side character that the producers are like, wait, like this dude's like pretty interesting. First of all, he's what's called an agent's assistant. Do you know what that is? It's like if you're Brooks's agent, he's the assistant to the agent.
He's the go boy.
So the do boy, yes.
Yeah.
And so the big thing with assistant's agent is you have to know how to do a lot of weird shit.
Random stuff.
So he knows how to like sew.
Yeah.
And he basically Brooks is like sitting there. I think this is so funny. He's like, I want to be a fashion designer. And Shy's like, well, my mom brought over these curtains and I just made them into pants.
Yeah.
And here they are. And they look pretty good.
Yeah. Trendy.
And he's the one that like set up Brooks's sewing machine.
And did you love that Brooks was like, so I did debut my line at what's the big
Salt Lake City.
what's Sundance. He's like, I premiered it at Sundance. And then he's like, it was just one tracksuit. I was like, thank you for admitting, like, when it was like the throwback when Jen Shaw's like, is it all just one thing?
Okay, but I just think if you want to be a fashion designer and you don't know how to set up your own fucking sewing machine.
Yeah, doesn't really.
It's not on brand. And his apartment was beautiful. Did you catch that? That's clearly being paid for by mommy and daddy.
Humongous.
Yes, in New York.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a good show. I mean,
yes,
it's just like what you, for all of their attempts to try and be really like high class, they're just not. They're not. Still like young partiers.
They're drinking that Oyster Bay Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah,
that's like $12 a bottle. Yeah, like they are not.
Georgia like loses her phone. She's still like sweaty ripe when she goes out. She's getting like blackout on camera.
Yeah,
it's like
I loved that. Yeah. She's like, they laughed.
She said like, I ate a glass of wine. It's like, we know, we can tell.
Red wine. I was like, ew, why is red wine the go-to at a club? Weird choice.
Oh my God. Anyway, last thing, our last segment. So, Jessica, what are the kids talking about these days?
Yes. Okay. Well, this is one making fun of kids these days. Okay. So picture this. You walk into, let's say, a coffee shop. I find this more at stores. You walk into a store, you're like browsing, you find something, and you walk up to the person behind the register, and they're just like staring at you, and they just start like ringing you up. There's now a name for it. It's the Gen Z gaze. The amount of times it irks me to no other when the customer service person does not say hello to me. I then play the game of I'm not going to speak either.
Really?
Yes.
Jessica? Oh my God.
It's so not me, but it pisses me off so bad when it's like, or they're ringing you up at like a convenience store and they have not spoken to you.
And then they ask like paper or plastic, and that's the only thing they say.
Oh my God. And why I think it really pisses me off is because first job out of college, I was a sales manager at Macy's on State Street. And they're all like, all these Gen Zs who have like been talking about in this article that there was like, yeah, you know, being in customer service sucks, and like the general public. Completely agree. I dealt with some freaking crazies.
Yeah.
But you better believe I had a smile on my face. You put up with it.
I've never seen Jessica this animated about something.
I get so riled up about it. I hate this Gen Z gaze, and I've experienced it clearly a few times.
So what happens when you walk up to them and you're like, we're going to play a game of chicken and who talks first. Do they talk first? Do they realize that you're doing it?
They usually have to talk first because it's something like the total is 10.
Yeah,
Like they
right.
have to talk eventually.
But do they know that you're...
I don't know. I don't even know if they pick up. But it's like internally I'm like boiling. I'm like, when will they say something to me? When will they say something?
Jessica. Fun fact about Jessica, too, she hates Christmas music because of that job, that sales job, and she had to listen to the Christmas track over and over again.
I am slowly becoming less of a Grinch, by the way. I can now listen to Christmas music maybe a week before Christmas. It's slowly inching forward. It used to be I could only listen to it on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. That was all I could tolerate. I've been coming forward. I've been getting a little more in the holiday spirit.
That's so funny.
But yeah, so just the next time a young person is just like blankly staring at you and you're like, hello.
So why do they do it? Because they just...
they're exhausted. They can't, they don't even care. They don't care enough about their job. They're at some stupid low paying job. Fine, I get it. They just are saying that the general public is exhausting to deal with. They are, but like... Honestly, it's a hello. I'm not asking for a Trader Joe's conversation.
Right. Oh, God.
That is actually too much. The other day, the guy asked me, I was like picking up 2 things really quickly, and he's like, what else are you doing on this beautiful day? I literally was like, nothing. I literally had no plans, and I was just like, I'm such a loser. But I was like, absolutely nothing.
But also nothing like, I don't care to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. If you ever are having a problem where you need to go chat with somebody, go into Trader Joe's.
So, funny story, back when I was single, I like didn't know they were supposed to be like that, and I really thought one guy was like trying to hit on me, Lauren. I was like, wow, really talking me up. I was like, geez. And he was cute.
Oh my God.
And then I learned that they like are supposed to do that.
And then they're
I was
like, bye.
So
and you're
embarrassed.
like,
I was like,
no
don't you want my number or anything?
Oh my God, Jessica, love it. Yeah, we were weird back then.
Yes.
I'm so glad we're married now.
I know. Oh Lord, not trying to date Trader Joe cashiers. Okay.
All right, let's move on to conspiracy theories.
Yeah, excited.
Okay, so I have kind of one that's dated, but it's, I don't know, interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and it's a quick hit. So, I don't know if you saw this, but back when it was like in May, did you hear this James Comey thing? He was a former director of the FBI.
Yeah, I know.
And he posted a picture of seashells arranged as 8647.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's a weird one.
I
and
did see that.
And it's already blown past, so if you've already known about this, you're like, this is kind of old. It is old. But so the former FBI director, he was walking on the beach, which is said under quotes, and he basically posted this picture, 8647. 86 means kill.
To like...
It's like if you're in a diner, you're like 86 the broccoli. It's like they don't want the broccoli on the plate. So 47 is Trump.
Yeah,
because that's the
47th president.
47th president. And people lost their dang minds. So first of all, it's like FBI guy, like what you of course know what 86 means.
Yeah.
He claims it was coincidental. He saw an interesting shell pattern. He quickly deleted. He said, I abhor no violence. I mean no harm. They investigated very, very fast because, of course, it was like a direct threat.
Right.
And the conspiracy was that basically he was signaling to go time.
Yeah.
Like now's the day.
Yeah.
Do it. The caption underneath the picture was interesting shell pattern.
I mean...
Isn't that weird?
Very weird.
Nothing ever happened, so I feel comfortable talking about it. But obviously the conspiracy theorists were like, they're coming for Trump. Yeah. Because it's like, why else would you post something like that?
So you said it was in May he posted?
May.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So we're now June, so we're obviously much later. Nothing ever happened. But I wonder if now I should have looked up if it was near that shot that happened.
But that shot was a year ago.
Oh, you're right. I'm very confused on time.
The only reason I know when it was the day of my husband's cousin's wedding.
Okay.
Because we were all there and suddenly people were going, Trump was shot. And that's how the only way I know. It was last July.
Yeah, but time is,
what is it?
Yeah, what is it? Yeah. We're all living in a simulation anyway. Okay, second conspiracy theory. So this is a little bit of an odd one and I think a little bit of a reach, but I want to talk about it just in case it comes to fruition. So
you heard it here first.
Yeah, on June 1st, in the University of Michigan, there was garden staff discovered that basically somebody come along and destroyed all of these peonies.
I love peonies.
And it was right before this like big Michigan fair to come like see all of their flowers.
Oh, okay.
And they claimed that it was vandals that they left this like sign that was basically like, if Gaza can't live their normal lives, nothing else deserves to live, or something like that.
Okay.
So they took out all of these flowers, and then they left all these handwritten signs. So, and that's what made the news. And what conspiracy theorists are saying that was a cover-up was something else that actually happened in the University of Michigan, which was that 2 Chinese foreign exchange students were arrested, a boyfriend and girlfriend, because in the boyfriend's bag, he had a fungus growing in his bag that he was bringing in or out of the U.S. I believe it was in.
Yeah.
The fungus kills all crops related to wheat. I think it's, I wrote it down, wheat or corn. And basically it's this fungus that like goes into crops and like destroys them. And so, and he was intercepted at the Detroit Metro Airport with samples in his backpack.
Yeah.
Now, if you investigate like the 2 people, are they related to the the Chinese government? No, but they had a lot of paraphernalia on them, and they were also given money by the Chinese government of like for like pursuing their research. Like the female of the 2 had like a seal in her phone that was like, that she was basically part of the Communist Party of China.
Oh, man.
So very interesting. And just, I don't know. I guess like we'll never know, right, if this fungus was like meant to do big harm.
Oh, we'll obviously never know, because I never even heard the story of them being arrested, and you better believe it's all going to be squashed.
And here's the critical thing. So they were actually arrested in 2024, but the files were unsealed right when the peony stomping happened.
Got it. Okay. I was about to say, how did the peony stomp go before the arrest? Because they wouldn't have known they needed to cover up.
Right.
Okay.
It was that they were unsealed
and they would have
right on the
known.
same day that the peony stomping
Yes.
happened. And so the thing that really hit the news waves and made the news was the peony stomping.
And the unsealing would have been a known date.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they think that they covered it up. Anyway, we will never know, but that fungus thing, so if you're corn, wheat, rice, or barley, that's what the fungus was going to attack. All I know, just because I'm on a no-carb diet right now, so I'm like, I don't care.
Fun fact, I always thought corn was a vegetable, and Vince is like, that's a carb. I was like, what? It was like Mean Girls. Is butter a carb?
But if you're gnawing it off the thing, that's a vegetable.
I feel like it's healthy, but he said it the way our body treats it. It's like instant turn to sugar. So don't have corn either, Lauren, if you're trying to lose weight.
I was so proud of myself. I'm like, I don't care about that stuff.
I also dip corn on the cob in butter. So.
Yeah, that's probably why it's turning it to sugar.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jessica, love it.
Love it. All right.
Great talking to you.
You too, Lauren. Bye.
Bye.